The massive alien ship hung in the sky above Earth like a dark moon. It was so large that people in 5 different countries could see it at the same time. The ship's metal surface was black and smooth, covered with symbols that glowed in colors humans had never seen before. This was the Eternal Authority, the flagship of the Galactic Dominion Council. Ambassador Kyung-soo stood in the shuttle that carried him toward the alien vessel. He wore his best diplomatic suit, but his hands were shaking. He had been Earth's chief ambassador for 12 years, meeting with leaders from every nation. But this was different. These were not humans. These were the rulers of the galaxy. Beside him sat 4 other humans. Each one had been chosen carefully. They were the smartest and bravest Earth had to offer. But right now, they all looked scared. The shuttle docked with a soft thud. The door opened and cold air rushed in. Kyung-soo stepped forward into a hallway that seemed to stretch forever. The walls glowed with soft light. Strange music played from everywhere and nowhere at once. An alien appeared before them. It was tall, taller than any human, with skin like purple crystal. Its eyes were 3 circles arranged in a triangle on its face. When it spoke, the words came out in perfect English. "Welcome, representatives of Earth. I am Speaker Velmoth. The Council awaits you." They followed the alien through corridors filled with wonders. Kyung-soo saw creatures from a dozen different worlds. Some walked on 2 legs, others on 4 or 6. Some floated in the air. Some looked almost human. Others looked like nightmares. Finally, they entered a massive chamber. It was shaped like a circle, with 12 high seats arranged around the edges. On each seat sat an alien, each one different from the others. These were the leaders of the Dominion Council, the rulers of 12 ancient civilizations. The one in the center seat was the largest. Its body was covered in scales that shifted between gold and silver. When it spoke, its voice was like thunder. "I am High Chancellor Vector. We have come to welcome humanity into the Galactic Dominion. This is a great honor. You should be pleased." Kyung-soo bowed slightly. "We are grateful for your visit, Chancellor. Earth wishes to learn more about the galaxy and our place in it." Another council member spoke. This one looked like a floating mass of tentacles surrounded by a glowing mist. "Your place is simple. You will join the Dominion as all others have joined. You will sign the tributary accords." A holographic document appeared in the air before Kyung-soo. It was written in thousands of languages, including English. He began to read and his heart sank with every word. The terms were clear. Earth would give 60% of everything to the Council. 60% of all resources. 60% of all technology. 60% of all military power. In return, the Council would protect Earth and allow humans to participate in galactic affairs. "This is quite extensive," Kyung-soo said carefully. He was trying not to show his anger. "It is standard," Vector replied. "All species pay this tribute." Look, the hologram changed. Now it showed a long list of names. 847 civilizations. Next to each name was a date and a signature. Some of the dates were thousands of years old. Some were from last month. "Every intelligent species in the galaxy has signed," a different council member said. This one looked like a living tree with faces growing from its branches. "You are the 848th species we have discovered. You will sign like all the others." Kyung-soo looked at his team. He saw the same thought in their eyes. This was not a welcome. This was a threat. "May we have time to discuss this with our government?" Kyung-soo asked. The council members looked at each other. Several of them made sounds that might have been laughter. "Other species do not ask for time," Vector said. "They understand the honor we give them. But you are young and primitive. Very well. You have 48 of your Earth hours to return with your signatures." "Thank you, Chancellor," Kyung-soo said. He bowed again and led his team back to the shuttle. Once they were inside and the door was closed, one of the other humans spoke. Her name was Mi-sun, and she was Earth's top legal expert. "They want to own us," she said quietly. "Yes," Kyung-soo replied. "That is exactly what they want." The shuttle flew back toward Earth. Kyung-soo stared out the window at the beautiful blue planet below. Somewhere down there, President Sung-woo was waiting for his report. Somewhere down there, Commander Hae-won of the United Earth Defense Force was preparing for the worst. When they landed, Kyung-soo went straight to the emergency meeting. The room was full of Earth's most important leaders. President Sung-woo sat at the head of the table, his face grave. "Tell us everything," the president said. Kyung-soo explained the council's demand. As he spoke, he watched the faces around the table change from curiosity to shock to anger. 60%? Shouted General Namil. They want 60% of everything we have? They call it protection money, Misun added. But it is slavery with a different name. Commander Haiwan stood up. She was a strong woman with short black hair and eyes that missed nothing. How many ships did they bring? We counted at least 300 in orbit, Kyung-soo replied. But our sensors suggest there may be more hiding behind the moon. And they said all 847 other species accepted these terms? President Sung-woo asked. Yes, sir. An old woman at the end of the table cleared her throat. This was Dr. Ji-woo, Earth's chief xenoanthropologist. She had spent her entire life studying alien cultures. I have been reviewing the data we collected from their ship, Dr. Ji-woo said. She tapped her tablet and images appeared on the wall screen. I found something interesting. Or rather, I found something missing. Everyone turned to look at the screen. The council showed us a list of 847 civilizations. But when I checked the galactic databases we have been quietly accessing for the past 5 years, I found references to many more species. At least 60 species that existed in the past but are not on the council's list. What happened to them? President Sung-woo asked, though his voice suggested he already knew the answer. The records have been erased, Dr. Ji-woo said, but I found fragments. Old transmissions, ancient warnings. I think those 60 species refused to join the council, and I think the council destroyed them and erased all evidence they ever existed. The room fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. So our choices are simple, Commander Haiwan said. We can submit and become slaves. Or we can refuse and be destroyed. President Sung-woo stood up. He walked to the window and looked out at the city below. Millions of people going about their lives, not knowing that humanity's future was being decided in this room. There must be a third option, he said quietly. There is always a third option, Commander Haiwan replied. She was smiling, but it was not a kind smile. We can fight. Against 300 ships? General Namil said. We have 340 ships in our entire fleet, and most of them are smaller than a single council vessel. Then we fight smarter, Commander Haiwan said. We have been preparing for this day since we first learned we were not alone in the universe. We knew that when we met other species, some of them might not be friendly. We have plans. President Sung-woo turned back to face the room. How long would we last in a fight? Commander Haiwan met his eyes. Long enough to make them regret ever coming to Earth. The president nodded slowly. Then he looked at Kyung-soo. In 46 hours you will return to that ship, and you will give them Earth's answer. What answer should I give, Mr. President? Kyung-soo asked. President Sung-woo smiled. It was the same smile Commander Haiwan had worn. The smile of someone who refuses to be afraid. You will give them the only answer that matters, he said. The answer that defines what it means to be human. The United Earth Assembly Hall in Geneva had never been so quiet. Every seat was filled. Every screen on Earth and across all the human colonies was showing the same image. President Sung-woo standing at the podium, preparing to address not just humanity, but the entire Galactic Dominion Council. Outside, the sky was dark with alien ships. They had moved closer during the night, a clear message of intimidation. The Eternal Authority hung directly above the building, blocking out the sun. Ambassador Kyung-soo stood beside the president. He had delivered the council's message to every nation, every colony, every human outpost. And now, with time running out, humanity would give its answer. President Sung-woo stepped forward. He was a small man, not physically impressive. But when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of 8 billion souls. Members of the Galactic Dominion Council, he began, you have traveled across the stars to meet us. You have shown us wonders we never imagined. You have proven that we are not alone in this vast universe. On the alien flagship, the 12 council members sat in their chamber. They watched the human leader through their viewing screens. Several of them looked bored. They had heard speeches like this 847 times before. You have offered us membership in your dominion, President Sung-woo continued. You have promised us protection. You have shown us a list of 847 civilizations that accepted your generous terms. High Chancellor Vector shifted in his seat. His scales turned a satisfied gold color. The human was about to submit. They always submitted. You asked us to give you 60% of everything we have, the president said. Our resources, our technology, Our military strength. You told us this was standard, that every species pays this price. Yes, yes, Vector muttered to the council member beside him. Get to the acceptance part. I grow tired of this planet. President Sungwoo paused. He looked directly into the camera, knowing the council was watching. Knowing that every human was watching. Knowing that this moment would define humanity's future. We have considered your offer carefully, he said. We have examined your terms. We have discussed the matter with our people. And we have reached our decision. Around Earth, people held their breath. In homes, offices, schools, and military bases, humans waited to hear what their leader would say. Our answer is no. For a moment, nothing happened. The word hung in the air like a physical thing. Then, slowly, people began to understand what they had heard. President Sungwoo continued, his voice growing stronger. We decline your offer. We reject your terms. We will not give you 60% of anything. We will not become your tributaries. We choose to remain free. In the council chamber, confusion spread like wildfire. High Chancellor Vector's scales turned bright red. He tapped frantically at his translation device. There must be an error, he said. The word did not translate correctly. What did the human say? Speaker Velmoth checked his own translator. Then he checked it again. The translation is correct, Chancellor. The human said no. They have refused. Impossible. Vector roared. He slammed his massive fist on the armrest of his throne. No species has ever refused. In 50,000 years, not one species has said no. On Earth, President Sungwoo was still speaking. We understand this may surprise you, perhaps even anger you, but we must be clear. Humanity will not be owned. We will not be controlled. We will not pay tribute to anyone for the right to exist. This is madness, shouted one of the council members, the one that looked like floating tentacles. They are primitives. They have been in space for less than 300 years. How dare they refuse us? Another council member, the tree-like being, spoke more calmly. Perhaps they do not understand the consequences. We should explain to them what happens to species that displease the council. Vector's eyes narrowed. He opened a communication channel directly to Earth. His voice boomed through every speaker in the assembly hall. President Sungwoo of Earth, you have made a mistake. I will give you one chance to correct this error. You have 24 hours to sign the tributary accords. If you do not, we will implement corrective measures. The transmission ended. The council members sat back, confident that the threat would work. It always worked. In Geneva, President Sungwoo nodded to Ambassador Kyung-soo. The ambassador stepped forward and spoke into the microphone. High Chancellor Vector, the President heard your message. His answer remains the same. No. President Sungwoo then addressed humanity, my fellow humans across Earth and all our colonies. Today we have chosen the hard path. The Council will likely attempt to force us into submission, but we have prepared for this day. Commander Hae-won, activate Defense Protocol 1. At military bases around the world and across the solar system, alarms began to sound. Commander Hae-won stood in the central command bunker deep beneath the Swiss Alps. Her fingers flew across the control panel. Defense Protocol 1 is active, she announced. All ships to battle stations. All orbital platforms to full power. All colonies to emergency lockdown. Captain Tae-sung received the order aboard the ESS Defiant, humanity's newest and most powerful warship. He stood on the bridge looking at his crew of 200 brave souls. You all heard the President, Tae-sung said. The Council has given us 24 hours. I expect they will attack much sooner. All hands to battle stations. Ready all weapons. Deploy all drones. This is not a drill. Throughout the ship, crew members rushed to their positions. Lieutenant Da-eun, the tactical officer, brought up a holographic display of the solar system. Red dots showed council ships. Blue dots showed human vessels. Sir, we are outnumbered almost 15 to 1, Da-eun reported. Then we will need to be 15 times smarter, Tae-sung replied. He pressed a button on his chair. All fleet captains, this is Tae-sung. Execute Ghost Protocol. Scatter and hide. Make them search for us. Do not engage unless ordered. We fight on our terms, not theirs. Across the human fleet, ships broke formation. They dove toward asteroid fields, hid behind moons, powered down to minimal energy signatures. 340 human ships simply vanished from Council sensors. On the Council flagship, alarms started blaring. Chancellor, the human military vessels have disappeared. Vector stood up. his massive form trembling with rage. Find them! They cannot hide from us. We have technology that is thousands of years more advanced than theirs. But the Council's sensors found nothing. The humans had vanished like ghosts. Back on Earth, President Sungwoo finished his address to the nation. I will not lie to you. The coming days will be difficult. We may face destruction, but I would rather face destruction as a free people than live for 1,000 years as slaves. The Council believes we will surrender because we are weak. They believe we will submit because we are afraid. They are about to learn what it truly means to be human. The broadcast ended. Around the world, people watched their screens in silence. Then slowly they began to react. Some cried. Some prayed. Some gathered their families and held them close. But in every city, town, and village, something else happened. People stood up. They looked at the alien ships in the sky, and they refused to be afraid. In military command centers, soldiers prepared for war. In factories, workers began producing ammunition around the clock. In research labs, scientists brought out secret projects they had been developing for years. Humanity had given its answer. Now it had to live with the consequences. High Chancellor Vector stood in the council chamber surrounded by his fellow leaders. His scales had turned black with fury. How long until our full armada arrives? He demanded. 12 hours, Chancellor, an aide replied. 5,000 warships. The largest fleet we have assembled in 10,000 years. Good, Vector said. These humans think they can defy us. They think their single word, their no, has any meaning. We will show them what happens to species that forget their place. He turned to face the other council members. This will be a lesson to the entire galaxy. We will destroy the humans completely, not just their military, everything, their cities, their colonies, their monuments. We will erase them so thoroughly that in 1,000 years no one will remember they ever existed. The other council members nodded in agreement. One spoke up. Should we try negotiation one more time? Perhaps offer them better terms? No, Vector said. They have insulted the council. They must be made an example. Send the message to all tributaries. Tell them what happens to those who refuse us. As the council prepared for war, they failed to notice something important. Throughout their empire, on 847 different worlds, people were watching what happened at Earth. They saw the tiny blue planet refuse the mighty council. They heard President Sungwoo's speech, and for the first time in 50,000 years, some of them began to wonder, if these humans can say no, why can't we? The council's armada arrived like a storm of metal and fire. 5,000 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were magnificent and terrifying. Some ships were 10 kilometers long. Others were massive spheres covered in weapons. Each one carried enough firepower to destroy a city. War Master Krelthan commanded the fleet from his battlecruiser, Dominion's Wrath. He was a veteran of 300 campaigns, though most of those had been simple intimidation missions. The Council rarely needed to actually fight. Most species surrendered the moment they saw the fleet. All ships advanced to Earth orbit, Krelthan ordered. Standard formation. Make them see what they face. When they beg for mercy, we will accept their surrender. Then we will execute their leaders as an example. The massive fleet moved forward, engines burning bright against the darkness of space. They passed Neptune, then Uranus, expecting to find human ships waiting to defend each planet. But they found nothing. Where are they? Krelthan muttered. Where are the human vessels? His sensor operator shook his head. No contacts, War Master. The entire human fleet has vanished. They are hiding like cowards, Krelthan said. No matter. We will find them after we destroy their homeworld. The fleet continued forward, passing Saturn with its beautiful rings. Still no sign of human resistance. They approached Jupiter and its many moons. War Master, the sensor operator said suddenly. I am detecting strange readings from the asteroid belt ahead. Krelthan looked at the display. The asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter contained millions of rocks from pebbles to mountains. The sensors showed abnormal energy signatures throughout the field. It is probably their mining equipment, Krelthan said dismissively. Continue forward. Deep inside the asteroid belt, Engineer Young-ho watched the Council fleet approach on his monitor. He sat in a hidden control station carved into the heart of a large asteroid. Around him, dozens of other engineers worked at their stations. They are entering the kill zone, Young-ho said calmly. He pressed a button. Activate the Hephaestus network. Throughout the asteroid belt, thousands of hidden weapons suddenly powered up. Humanity had spent 20 years turning the asteroid field into the largest minefield in history. Railguns had been mounted inside hollowed-out asteroids. Nuclear mines drifted between the rocks, impossible to distinguish from natural debris. Drone fighters waited in secret hangars carved into the larger asteroids. Fire, Young-Ho said. The asteroids opened fire. Krelthan's world exploded into chaos. Suddenly, hundreds of his ships were under attack from every direction. Massive metal slugs moving at incredible speeds tore through shields and armor. Nuclear explosions blossomed between the ships. Swarms of small, fast human fighters emerged from hiding spots and attacked the larger council vessels. "Return fire," Krelthan screamed. "Destroy those asteroids." The council ships began shooting back, but they had a problem. Every time they destroyed an asteroid, the explosion created thousands of new projectiles. Rocks the size of houses became deadly weapons, traveling at high speed in all directions. The debris damaged more council ships. "This is insane," Krelthan shouted. "They weaponized the entire asteroid field." Captain Tae-sung watched the battle from the bridge of the Defiant. His ship was hidden on the far side of Mars along with most of the human fleet. He smiled as he watched the council ship struggle in the trap. "Lieutenant Daeun, status report," he said. Daeun checked her displays. "The Hephaestus network has destroyed or disabled 412 council ships. We have lost 37 automated platforms. No human casualties so far." "Good," Tae-sung said. "Wait for my signal. When they are fully committed to fighting the asteroids, we strike from behind." In the asteroid field, Krelthan was beginning to understand a terrible truth. These humans did not fight like other species. The Council's military doctrine was based on intimidation and overwhelming force. They fought in neat formations, using superior technology to crush their enemies. But humans did not care about neat formations or fighting fair. They set traps. They attacked from hiding. They used the environment as a weapon. They fought like prey animals that had learned to bite back. "Pull back," Krelthan ordered. "Get out of the asteroid field. Regroup in open space." The Council fleet tried to retreat, but that was when Captain Tae-sung made his move. "All ships, attack now," he commanded. The human fleet erupted from hiding. 340 warships, each one smaller than the Council vessels but faster and more maneuverable, hit the Council fleet from behind. They fired missiles, railguns, and energy weapons. They did not try to engage in honorable combat. They simply attacked the damaged Council ships that were already struggling with the asteroid defenses. Pilot Jaemin flew his fighter with wild joy. He was 23 years old and had been training for this moment his entire adult life. His fighter was tiny compared to the Council ships, but it was fast and heavily armed. "Blue Squadron, follow me," he called to his team. "Target that battlecruiser's engines." Jaemin dove toward a massive Council ship that was on fire and listing to one side. He fired his missiles at the engine section, then pulled up hard to avoid the explosion. Behind him, 11 other fighters did the same thing. The Council ship's engines exploded. The vessel went dark and began to drift. "That is for trying to enslave us," Jaemin said quietly. Vice Admiral Bora commanded a group of 20 human destroyers. Her strategy was simple: hit and run. Her ships would attack a Council vessel, do as much damage as possible, then retreat before the enemy could respond effectively. "Target the carrier on our left," Bora ordered. "All ships fire, then jump to rally point 7. Her destroyers fired everything they had at a massive Council carrier. Hundreds of missiles struck the ship in the span of 30 seconds. Before the Council ship could even identify where the attack came from, Bora's destroyers used their faster-than-light drives to jump away. They reappeared 10,000 kilometers away, already preparing for the next attack. War Master Krelthan watched his fleet falling apart. In 6 hours of fighting, he had lost 400 ships. The humans had lost maybe 50, and most of those were automated drones. "This is impossible," he said. "We have superior technology. We have more ships. We should be winning." His second-in-command looked at him with wide eyes. "War Master, I do not think they are trying to win. I think they are trying to make us pay for every meter of space we take." Krelthan suddenly understood. The humans knew they could not defeat 5,000 ships, but they were not trying to. They were trying to make the cost of conquering Earth so high that the Council would give up. "Send a message to the High Chancellor," Krelthan said quietly. "Tell him we need reinforcements. Tell him these humans are not like other species. Tell him they actually know how to fight." Back on Earth, Commander Haywan watched the battle reports with satisfaction. She stood in the command bunker, surrounded by dozens of monitors showing different parts of the battle. They lost 400 ships in the first engagement, she said to President Sung-woo, who had come to observe. They are strong, but they have forgotten what real war looks like. They have been bullies for so long they never learned to actually fight. President Sung-woo nodded. How long can we keep this up? Days, maybe weeks, Commander Haywan replied honestly. We are hurting them badly, but they still outnumber us. Eventually, they will adapt to our tactics, or they will simply overwhelm us with sheer numbers. Then we make every day count, the president said. Every ship they lose, every soldier they send home wounded, every report they send back to the council about how hard we fight. All of it matters. We are not just fighting for Earth. We are fighting to show the galaxy that the council can be resisted. Engineer Young-ho's voice came through the communication system. Commander, the council fleet is trying to bypass the asteroid field. They are taking the long route around. Let them, Commander Haywan said. Every day they waste going around is another day we have to prepare. Captain Tae-sung, pull back to defensive position Theta. Let them think they have won this round. The human fleet disengaged from the battle. They disappeared into the darkness of space, leaving the council fleet to limp forward. On the Dominion's wrath, Krelthan counted his losses. 412 ships destroyed, 900 more damaged, against a species that had been in space for less than 3 centuries. I have fought for the council for 200 years, he said to his officers. I have conquered 17 worlds, but I have never fought anyone like these humans. They do not fight for territory. They do not fight for resources. They fight because they would rather die than submit. How do you defeat an enemy like that? No one had an answer. Pilot Jamin returned to his carrier, exhausted but alive. His fighter was damaged in 12 places, but he had survived. As he climbed out of the cockpit, his fellow pilots cheered. Jamin, you took down 3 council ships. He smiled tiredly. I think it was 4, but who's counting? How many did we lose? The cheering stopped. Someone said quietly, Blue Squadron lost 3 pilots. Red Squadron lost 5. Jamin's smile faded. 8 friends. 8 people he had trained with, laughed with, dreamed with. Gone. Then we make sure their sacrifice means something, he said. The council wanted an easy conquest. We are going to make them regret ever coming to our system. Throughout the human fleet, similar scenes played out. Crews celebrated their victories while mourning their losses. Engineers repaired damaged ships. Doctors treated wounded soldiers. And everyone prepared for the next battle. In the Council's empire, news of the battle spread quickly. For the first time in 50,000 years, the Council had been bloodied. They had lost hundreds of ships to a primitive species. The news shocked the tributary worlds. On 847 planets, people gathered in secret to talk about what they had heard. The humans had said no. The humans had fought back. The humans were still fighting, and slowly, carefully, some of them began to whisper a dangerous thought. Maybe we could say no too. 3 weeks had passed since the first battle. The war had settled into a brutal pattern. The Council fleet would advance. Humans would attack from unexpected directions. Ships would be destroyed on both sides. Then both fleets would pull back to repair and regroup. Commander Haywan looked at the casualty reports with tired eyes. Earth had lost 83 ships and 17,000 people. The Council had lost over 900 ships. By any measure, humanity was winning the exchange, but they were still losing overall. We cannot keep this up forever, she said to her staff. They have more ships, more people, more resources. Eventually, numbers will win. Lieutenant Da-un looked up from her station. Commander, we are receiving a strange transmission. It is not from the Council fleet. It is coming from deep space, from Council territory. Put it through, Commander Haywan said. The image that appeared on the screen showed an alien that looked like a tall, thin human with blue skin and 4 arms. It spoke in broken English. I am Talvin of the planet Kiros. We are tributary of the Council. We have been slaves for 3,000 years. We watch what you do. We wish to help you. Commander Haywan leaned forward. How can you help us? You are under Council control. We can be your eyes, Talvin said. We can tell you where Council fleets move. We can tell you their plans. Many tributary species talk in secret. We all want freedom, but we are afraid. You show us it is possible to fight. Please let us help. Commander Haywan smiled for the first time in days. Talvin of Kuros, we accept your help. Welcome to the Resistance. In a secret location far from Earth, Ambassador Kyung-soo had been working on a different kind of mission. He had been captured by a council patrol ship 2 weeks ago. At least that was what the council thought. In reality, he had let himself be captured on purpose. Now he sat in a holding cell on a council military station. But he was not alone. The cell held 20 other beings, all from different species. All were prisoners accused of sympathizing with humanity. My name is Kyung-soo, he said to them. I come from Earth. The council thinks I am a prisoner. But I am here to ask you a question. Do you want to be free? A creature that looked like a bear made of crystal spoke up. We have been slaves to the council for generations. How can we possibly be free? By doing what my people did, Kyung-soo replied. Say no, refuse, resist. The council has power only because we give it to them. Every tributary world, every conquered species, every being that pays tribute, you are the source of their power. Without you, they are nothing. They will destroy us, another prisoner said. This one looked like a floating jellyfish, perhaps, Kyung-soo admitted. But is a life of slavery worth living? My people chose to risk death rather than accept chains. It is not an easy choice, but it is the only choice that leads to freedom. He spent days talking to the prisoners. He told them about Earth's resistance. He explained humanity's tactics. He shared the truth that Dr. Jiwoo had discovered. The council was not invincible. They were just very good at making people think they were. And slowly the prisoners began to listen. Meanwhile, Dr. Jiwoo was fighting a different kind of war. She sat in a communications center on the moon, broadcasting across the galaxy. The council tried to jam her signals, but humanity had learned to be clever with their technology. People of the galaxy, she said into the camera, the council tells you they protect you. They say the tribute you pay is for your safety. But I have seen their records. I have studied their history. The council does not protect you. They exploit you. They are parasites, and you are their hosts. She displayed images on the screen behind her. Documents, financial records, secret communications, all stolen from council databases by human hackers. Look at these numbers, she continued. 60% of everything you produce goes to the council. But where does it go? The council members live in luxury. Their homeworlds are paradises. While tributary worlds suffer poverty, the council grows fat on your labor. Her broadcasts reached millions of beings across dozens of star systems. The council tried to shut her down, but she kept finding new ways to transmit. And people kept listening. On Earth, President Sung-woo received urgent news. Vice Admiral Bora stood before him in the emergency meeting room. Mr. President, we have a problem, Bora said. The council is bringing up their ultimate weapon. It is called the Planet Breaker. According to our intelligence, it is a massive ship that can destroy an entire planet in one shot. President Sung-woo felt cold. How long until it reaches Earth? 72 hours, Bora replied. Sir, if that weapon fires on Earth, there will be nothing left. We need to stop it. Can we destroy it? Maybe, Commander Haewon said, joining the conversation. But it will cost us. I estimate we will need to sacrifice at least 100 ships to get close enough. And even then, success is not guaranteed. President Sung-woo looked at the faces around him. Everyone was exhausted. Everyone had lost friends, family, comrades. But no one suggested surrender. Do we have any other options? He asked. Lieutenant Da-eun spoke up from the communication station. Sir, we have been in contact with resistance groups across 12 council systems. If we can coordinate a simultaneous uprising, we might be able to distract the council. Buy us time to deal with the Planet Breaker. How many resistance fighters are we talking about? The president asked. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, Da-eun replied. They are poorly armed and not well organized, but they are willing to fight. President Sung-woo made his decision. Coordinate with the resistance groups. Launch the uprisings in 60 hours. That will give us a 12-hour window to attack the Planet Breaker, while the council is dealing with rebellions. Commander Haewon, prepare our fleet for the assault. We are going all in. Across the galaxy, beings who had never dreamed of resistance prepared for war. On Kuros, Talvin's people gathered in secret. They had hidden weapons for years, waiting for a moment like this. Now that moment had come. On the water world of Celis, creatures who looked like giant shrimp began sabotaging council facilities. On the desert planet of Thun, rock-like beings who had worked in council mines for centuries walked out of the tunnels and refused to return. The uprisings were small and scattered. None of them posed a real military threat to the Council, but together, they created chaos across the Empire. Council forces that should have been protecting the Planet Breaker were instead being sent to put down rebellions. Commander Hei-Wan led the assault on the Planet Breaker personally. She commanded a task force of 150 ships. It was the largest attack force humanity had ever assembled. The Planet Breaker was enormous. It was 50 kilometers long, shaped like a massive spear. Its tip contained the weapon that could destroy worlds. Council warships surrounded it in a protective formation. "All ships, this is Hei-Wan," she said calmly. "We are going to fly straight at them. No fancy tricks this time, no hiding. We are going to hit them with everything we have. And we are not going to stop until that weapon is destroyed or we are all dead. It has been an honor serving with you." The human fleet accelerated toward the Planet Breaker. The Council ships opened fire. Human ships exploded, torn apart by energy weapons and missiles. But the fleet kept coming. Captain Tae-sung's ship took a direct hit. Half his bridge exploded. Fire filled the corridors. But he kept the Defiant on course. All power to forward shields. He shouted over the alarms. "Ready all missiles. We are going to ram that thing if we have to." Pilot Jamin led a squadron of fighters ahead of the main fleet. His job was to clear a path through the Council's defensive screen. He dodged and weaved between enemy fire, his fingers dancing across the controls. "Stay tight, everyone," he called to his squadron. "We are almost through." An enemy blast caught his wingmate's fighter. The ship exploded in a ball of fire. Jamin gritted his teeth and kept flying. The human fleet punched through the Council defenses. They were close now. Close enough to see the details of the Planet Breaker's hull. Close enough to target its weak points. Commander Hei-Wan saw her opening. "All ships target the weapon tip. Concentrate all fire." 150 human ships, many of them damaged and on fire, unleashed every weapon they had. Thousands of missiles, hundreds of energy beams, railgun slugs moving at incredible speeds. All of it focused on one point. The Planet Breaker's shields glowed white-hot. Then they flickered. Then they failed. The weapons pierced the hull. Explosions rippled along the massive ship's length. The tip where the planet-killing weapon sat began to break apart. Jamin saw his chance. He dove toward the growing breach in the hull. His fighter was almost out of fuel and ammunition, but he had one missile left. "This is for everyone we lost," he whispered. He fired his last missile directly into the breach, then pulled his fighter into the tightest turn of his life. The missile struck something critical inside the Planet Breaker. Maybe a reactor, maybe ammunition storage, maybe the weapon itself. Whatever it was, it created a chain reaction. The entire tip of the Planet Breaker exploded. The blast was so powerful it pushed Jamin's fighter tumbling through space. His instruments went crazy. He could not tell which way was up. Then strong hands grabbed his fighter in a tractor beam. Captain Tae-sung's voice came through the radio. "I have you, Jamin. You crazy, brilliant fool. You actually did it." Jamin looked back at what was left of the Planet Breaker. The tip was completely destroyed. The weapon was gone. The rest of the massive ship was drifting, powerless and broken. "We did it," he said in disbelief. "We actually did it." Of the 150 ships that attacked the Planet Breaker, only 47 made it back. But they had accomplished their mission. On Earth, President Sung-woo received the news. He closed his eyes and said a silent prayer for all those who had died to protect their world. Then he opened his eyes and stood tall. "Send a message to every resistance group in the galaxy. Tell them what we just did. Tell them the Council's ultimate weapon is destroyed. Tell them that if we can defeat the Planet Breaker, they can defeat their local oppressors. The revolution has begun." Across the Council's empire, people saw the news. The mighty Planet Breaker, the weapon that had kept tributary worlds in fear for 10,000 years, was destroyed. Destroyed by humans who had been in space for less than 300 years. And suddenly, everywhere, people began to rise up. Not just in 12 systems. Not just tens of thousands. Millions of beings across hundreds of worlds decided they had had enough. The Council's empire began to crack. 6 months had passed since humanity said no to the Galactic Dominion Council. The war was not over, but it had changed. The Council was no longer attacking Earth. They were too busy trying to hold their empire together as it fell apart around them. Captain Tae-sung stood on the bridge of the Defiant as his ship approached the neutral space station called Haven. The station floated in empty space, far from any star system. It had been built centuries ago as a trading post. Now it hosted something far more important, the first Free Species Summit. "We are receiving docking clearance," Lieutenant Dae-un reported. "Sir, there are over 300 ships here from different worlds. I have never seen so many different species in one place." Tae-sung smiled. "Neither have I. Make sure our weapons are powered down. We are not here to fight. We are here to build something new." Inside the station, Ambassador Kyung-soo walked through corridors filled with beings from dozens of worlds. He saw Talvin of Kyros, who had helped humanity by providing intelligence. He saw the Crystal Bear people who had rebelled in the Outer Rim. He saw floating jellyfish, walking plants, creatures made of living metal, and species he had no names for. All of them had one thing in common. They had refused to pay tribute to the Council. They had chosen freedom over safety, and now they were here to decide what came next. The summit took place in a massive chamber at the station's center. Hundreds of beings sat in seats designed for their various body types. At the front of the chamber, President Sung-woo stood beside Talvin and representatives from 8 other species. "My friends," President Sung-woo began, "6 months ago, Earth said no to the Council. We did not know if anyone would follow our example. But you did. Not because we are special, not because humans are particularly brave or strong, but because you were ready. You had been ready for a long time. You just needed to see that resistance was possible." Talvin spoke next. His English had improved greatly. "For 3,000 years my people paid tribute. We gave the Council 60% of everything we grew, everything we built, every innovation we created. We were told this was for our protection. But the only thing the Council protected us from was ourselves. They kept us weak so we could never challenge them." A being that looked like a walking tree with glowing flowers spoke up from the audience. "The Council still has military power. Their homeworlds are still strong. What stops them from simply conquering us again?" Commander Haewon answered that question. She stood with her arm in a sling, still recovering from injuries sustained in the Planet Breaker battle. "They can try, but the galaxy has changed. Before, the Council ruled 847 worlds. Now they rule barely 300, and many of those are considering rebellion. Their military is scattered, trying to put down uprisings everywhere. They no longer have the strength to conquer anyone. More importantly," Dr. Jiwoo added, "we have broken the illusion. The Council ruled through fear and misinformation. They made everyone believe they were invincible. But we proved they are not. They are just another government, and governments can be resisted." The summit lasted for 3 days. During that time, representatives from liberated worlds debated and argued and planned. Some wanted revenge against the Council. Others wanted isolation. But most wanted what humanity wanted, a galaxy where every species was free to determine its own future. On the 3rd day, they created the Declaration of Sovereign Rights. Ambassador Kyung-soo helped write it, drawing on centuries of human political philosophy. The declaration was simple. Every intelligent species had the right to govern itself. No species could demand tribute from another. No species could be conquered or enslaved. Any species that broke these rules would face unified opposition from all free worlds. Vice Admiral Bora stood before the assembly and proposed something bold. "We need a way to defend ourselves. The Council may attack again. Other threats may emerge. I propose we create the Free Worlds Alliance. Not an empire, not a tribute system, a partnership. Each member keeps full control of their own worlds and military. But if any member is attacked, all members respond." The proposal passed with overwhelming support. Bora was elected as the first Supreme Commander of Alliance forces. She accepted the position with a salute. "I promise you this," she said. "The Alliance will never become what we fought against. We will defend freedom, not rule over others, and any member may leave at any time. We are an alliance of choice, not of conquest." While the summit continued, Engineer Young-ho worked in the station's technical bays. Around him, engineers from 20 different species examined human technology. Young-ho was teaching them how humanity had weaponized asteroids, how they had built hidden bases, how they had made their ships faster and more efficient. "You are giving away your military secrets," an alien engineer said. She looked like a 6-armed octopus made of light. "Why would you do this?" Young-ho smiled. "Because secrets only help if you are planning to fight each other. We are not. We are planning to stand together. The stronger each of you is, the stronger all of us are." The alien engineer made a sound that might have been laughter. The Council hoarded knowledge. They kept their tributary worlds weak on purpose. You humans are very strange. We prefer to think of ourselves as practical, Young-Ho replied. A chain is only as strong as its weakest link. We want every link to be strong. Pilot Jamin had become famous across the galaxy. The story of his attack on the planet Breaker had spread to every freed world. He was called the human who challenged gods. Some species had made songs about him. Others had painted pictures. He found it all very embarrassing. I was just doing my job, he told Captain Taesung. I fired a missile. Anyone could have done it. But you did it, Taesung replied. And that matters. People need heroes, Jamin. They need to believe that one person can make a difference. You gave them that belief. I would rather have my squadron back, Jamin said quietly. He had lost 6 friends in that battle. Sometimes he still heard their voices on the radio. Taesung put a hand on his shoulder. So would I. But they died so others could be free. That means something. Their sacrifice means something. Back on Earth, President Sung-Woo addressed the planet one more time. It was the 6-month anniversary of the day humanity said no to the Council. My fellow humans, he said, 6 months ago we faced a choice. Submit or resist. Live as slaves or die as free people. We chose resistance. Many said we were fools. They said we could not win. They said the Council was too powerful. He paused and looked directly into the camera. They were wrong. Not because we were stronger than the Council. We were not. Not because we were smarter. We were not. We won because we refused to accept that slavery was inevitable. We won because we inspired others to refuse as well. And together we broke an empire that had ruled for 50,000 years. Around the world, people watched and listened. In cities that had been bombed by the Council. In military bases that had sent loved ones to war. In homes that would never see certain family members again. They listened, and they understood that their sacrifice had not been in vain. The war is not completely over, President Sung-Woo continued. The Council still exists. They still control their core worlds. There may be more battles ahead, but the galaxy has changed forever. We have created something new. Not a human empire, not a tribute system, but an alliance of free peoples who stand together because they choose to, not because they are forced to. He smiled. I am proud of what we have accomplished. But I am more proud of what you will accomplish, the generation that said no to slavery. The generation that taught the galaxy what freedom means. History will remember you, and it will remember that when humanity was asked to surrender, we gave a one-word reply. We said no, and the galaxy heard us. In the Council's core territories, High Chancellor Vector sat in his throne room and stared at reports of disaster. More than half his empire was gone. Rebellions continued across the remaining territories. His military was exhausted. His economy was collapsing. 3 of the 12 council members had withdrawn completely, declaring their own worlds independent. 5 others had opened negotiations with the Free Worlds Alliance. 4 faced revolutions on their home planets. How did this happen? Vector asked the empty room. We were invincible. We ruled the galaxy. One small planet says no and everything falls apart? He finally understood the truth. The Council had never been strong. They had been a pyramid balanced on a point, and that point was fear. Once someone stopped being afraid, once someone showed that resistance was possible, the entire structure collapsed. Perhaps, Vector said slowly, we were never meant to rule. 10 years later, Captain Da-un commanded her own ship, the New Dawn. She was escorting a delegation from a newly discovered species to Haven Station. These beings looked like flying ribbons of light, and they were nervous. We received your invitation to join the Free Worlds Alliance, their leader said. But we are cautious. We have heard stories of the old council. How do we know your alliance will not become like them? Da-un smiled. She had been asked this question many times over the years. That is a good question. And the answer is simple, you do not know. We could become like the council. We could grow corrupt and greedy and start demanding tribute. Any system can become corrupt. The ribbon beings looked worried, but, Da-un continued, we have built safeguards. Any member can leave the alliance at any time. We share all our technology freely. We have no central government that can accumulate power. And most importantly, we remember our history. We remember what it felt like to be bullied by the council. We remember the price we paid for freedom. As long as we remember, we will not repeat their mistakes. And if you forget? The leader asked. Da-un's smile faded. Then someone will need to remind us. Someone will need to say no to us just as we said no to the council. Freedom is not something you win once and keep forever. It is something you must defend every single day. The ribbon beings considered this. Then their leader spoke. We would like to join your alliance. Welcome, Dayun said. Welcome to a galaxy where every species is free. She looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there on a small blue planet a statue had been built. It showed President Sung Woo standing at a podium about to give a speech. Carved into the base of the statue was a single word. No. That word had changed everything. It had ended an empire. It had freed hundreds of worlds. It had proven that even the smallest voice, if brave enough, could shake the foundations of the galaxy. And somewhere, in the depths of space, new species were learning about humanity. They were learning about the planet that refused to surrender. They were learning about the one-word reply that stunned the Galactic Council. They were learning that freedom is not given. It is taken. It is earned. It is fought for, and all it takes to start is one word, no.